The people know the Democrats are responding to fear. It is their fear of the most radical far-left voices in their party that has made them decide to obey the demands of the far left and to shut down the entire government and thereby inflict all this pain on the people.
Yes, the Speaker of the entire House of Representatives today on Capitol Hill calling out those dastardly Democrats and their demonic dance. They want to starve children to death by the millions. Why do the Democrats hate children so much, Michael? Why do they want Americans to starve in the streets? Why don't they just vote to reopen the government? I saw it. You see, 25 states are suing the Trump administration, which has done nothing to close the government. Why don't they sue Chuck Schumer? It's 25 states and the District of Columbia, which isn't a state at all. It should be cast off. It should be given to the Soviet Union or something. Yeah, they'll bring back the Soviet Union. That's what Putin wants to do. Yeah, 25 states sue the Trump administration and the District of Columbia, sue the Trump administration because of the government shutdown. But how does that make any sense? 25 states sue Trump administration over withholding food aid funding. Well, I got to tell you, 25 states, there will be enough Democrat senators in there to pass the continuing resolution and open the government this afternoon. They could do it before lunchtime, actually. They got not a lot of time, but they got to open the government before lunchtime if they wanted to. But they lie about everything. Boy, do they lie. And honestly, you got 25 states. I think that means 50 senators, doesn't it? Am I doing my math correctly on that? That 25, they got 2 senators each, right? So I'm thinking like a quarter, and then 2 quarters is 50 cents. And that'd be, they got 50 governors, because 25 states, 2 senators each, 50 senators and 25 governors, and 50 senators, and they could reopen the government today. Why don't you sue yourselves? Why don't you sue the Democrat Party? Why don't you sue any of these criminals that are starving children to death by the millions? Honestly, you people, what's the matter you? You got to know respect. Shut up or you face. How about that? Isn't that great? And I want to get to Jamie Dimon, too, because he's a big CEO, and it annoys him when people sit there on their iPads and their phones and ignore him. And I understand that completely. I appreciate that completely. Also, did you see that AI, artificial intelligence, is all the rage now, all the rage, especially among the kids, the kids. And it turns out high school students using artificial intelligence to do their homework, just earlier this year, January, 10 months ago, I think, of 2025, 79% of high school students said that they use AI to do their homework, meaning they're not doing their homework, but it's being done automatically and they don't learn anything, right? 79% in January of 2025. Now there's a new poll. It's up to 84% now, 84% of students using AI. In fact, that was even months ago. It's time to take another new poll. Isn't that amazing? Because high school students, they're not learning and a-learning. They're just using AI to do all their work for them. So much more convenient, don't you think? I think it is. Yes, sir. You're a Democrat Party. There they are. That's right. I blame them for that, too. Isn't that amazing? So we've got big elections coming up next Tuesday, a week from yesterday in New Jersey, where they've got this Cheryl woman. She's the one that cheated her way through the Naval Academy, right? And she still wears the Navy baseball cap. Yeah, weren't you not allowed to appear on the graduation? You couldn't accept. Yeah, and she's the one. She's a good Democrat. Isn't that great? And then they have that racist Spanberger in Virginia. She is trying to defeat also, one of the Democrat yelled at her, go back to Haiti. Remember that to Winsome Earl Sears, who is originally from Jamaica, where they have this big hurricane going on, and it's a big hurricane. It's big and nasty. The Democrats are making it about climate change. They think if you give them trillions of dollars, that there will be no more hurricanes, because they're mentally ill and they're pathological liars. I think all of them. Isn't that true? Yes, sir. So we got that, but that's a week from yesterday. It's big. Lots of early voting going on. And if you're in Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, if you're in New Jersey, I'm sure they have endless voting, too. It's like endless summer, but no surfing. And if you're in Virginia, go out and vote. Vote for the correct people, not the communists, the liars, the mentally ill, cross-dressing loons. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. So many wacky things going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. President Trump in Asia, of course, and he had dinner last night with the president of Korea. And he survived an assassination attempt last week, stabbed in the neck by a lunatic, was the president of Korea, and President Trump with him last night. They had dinner. They put out, as you might expect, everybody's hungry. It's a long trip and everything. And they put out the menu. President Trump, well, actually, this was lunch, the lunch menu. And the menu that the South Koreans put out, they showed what they're having, right, what everybody's sharing. And the first was reminiscing the success story of New York. Korean seafood meets Thousand Island dressing. That's item number. I guess that's a salad. It might say salad. But it says reminiscing the success story of New York, which is not looking real good right now with that communist up there and everything. Korean seafood meets Thousand Island. That's the Thousand Island dressing. That's the first course. Second course, Korean platter of sincerity with U.S. beef. I'm glad to hear there's U.S. beef in there because sincerity is not very filling. But they've got, they gave names to the dishes. Korean platter of sincerity with U.S. beef. That's good. And then after you've finished the salad course, Thousand Island dressing, and the beef course, U.S. beef, then they've got Peacemaker's dessert. Peacemaker's dessert. It's different there. It is. Yes, sir. So we got that. And President Trump doing great work over there, all kinds of things happening, shaking and moving. And the Democrats back here refuse to open the government. They're starving children to death by the millions. They're going to kill them because that's what communists do, and they're the communists. All right, now I have more audio to get to and more stories to share with you, of course. But let me go to the telephones. Let's go to Ricky, calling from Baltimore, Maryland. Ricardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet, buddy. What do you know?
Okay, first thing first, you got to keep saying it left. You got to say it communist. You got to use more word of communist socialist. You have to. You got to stop saying it left. It's your choice. You do what you want. But left, nobody. Let me tell you why I'm saying that, because immigrants, foreign immigrants, do not understand word left. They don't know what left is. They just think you saying left hand. Okay, I am immigrant. Okay.
Okay.
They don't understand American language. They just know very, very, very simple English. 80% of my own family don't understand when you say left. They don't understand. They don't know what it means. They think you just talking about left hand.
Okay.
You gotta use word socialist communist. Russian communist.
Right.
That's the word you gotta give it to them, because then they would know what you're talking about. So I'm just giving you some little bit of info coming out of from all these immigrants coming here. And all right, so that's done.
I'm nodding. I appreciate that. Where are you from originally?
Originally, I come from India.
Oh, okay. All
right. When I came here in 1981, I was taught to be a liberal. I was taught to be Democrat liberal because that's what my family was. So I was taught to do that. You know who turned me and who made me conservative?
Who?
Rush Limbaugh.
Is that right?
Rush Limbaugh changed my life.
Wow.
Literally changed my life. Let me tell you how. I started listening to him out of hate. Out of hate, because some family member told me that he hate immigrants. And I started listening to him after 9/11.
Uh-huh.
And after I start listening to him and I start learning so much from him, in 2 years, he made me conservative.
Excellent.
I changed, and I loved him. I went to his funeral. I loved him. I cried for 2 days when he died.
Wow.
Because he was my mentor.
Wow.
He changed my life. Right now, I own 7 businesses because thanks to him.
Wow.
Because I learned that I can be American dream.
That's right.
And I became American dream. I learned how the Democrats and socialist people just want to rob me all the time.
Yeah.
All they want to do is take my money. They always talk about little people. They always talk about we are helping little people, but they take all the money from little people. Little people just don't understand. Little by I mean is poor people and immigrants and minorities. They take all our money all the time for all the taxes, and they claim to help us. They liar. They're a liar. They're communist. Okay, they're Russian communists. That's what they are. That's what you ought to be calling them all the time. Russian communists, and they are the Nazis. Rush always said that. You can never, ever have conversation with Democrats. They just won't turn. They will never change. No matter what happens, they will always be on their side. Our side always go on their side and, always compromise. They will never come to your side, and they have long-term plans. They have decades plans. They don't let go.
That's
and we
true.
have to learn that, to not compromise with them whatsoever at all.
You're right about all that. You're absolutely right about that. And it's true. They do have, the Chinese have their 100-year plan to take over the planet Earth, and the Democrat Party is they're the you're right. I always call them the international left, the left. But you're right. They're the and there's no daylight between the fascists of the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler and the communists of the USSR under Joseph Stalin and his secret police, and the Democrat Party behaves like them quite constantly in the United States of America, like the communists and the fascists. Are very little daylight between the communists and the fascists in the 20th century. And I love the fact that you came here and you got the dose of propaganda from I was going to say the left again, from the commies, and that Rush Limbaugh opened your eyes because you heard what Rush had to say and you started researching everything, right? And you did all the,
yes.
You fact-checked everything because you're being told that he's lying and he's anti-immigrant. And what you discovered was that, sadly, your family members were wrong. I'll just say wrong instead of lying. And that
no, they are. They're still wrong, and a lot of them don't even talk to me no more. A lot of them cut me off.
Yeah.
Because I have switched, I changed. Because I opened my eyes, they're still not opening their eyes. A lot of them still are stupid. Let me use the right word. I don't even care because they don't even talk to me, so I don't care. They're stupid. I fight with them for so many years to try to explain them but they're not learning. They're idiots because they are so doomed into that, we are for you, we are for immigrants, we are for little people. They are so doomed in that word. That is so messed up word they use, and we need to figure some way out to get rid of that word where they use, we are for you. We are for little people, we are for minorities, we are for immigrants, we are for black and brown. It's all wrong. If you were black and brown, why you keep raising taxes on the gas? Everybody use gas. Why you keep raising taxes on the food? Like, why are you raising taxes on the little things that every little people use? I don't understand that.
I'm nodding and I'm nodding and I'm nodding in agreement with you, Ricky. I'm very happy that you called in. I appreciate you calling in. I'm happy to be talking to you. You're a no-nonsense guy. I love the fact that you own 7 businesses. You are the great American success story, and that is just great. And I'll look forward to meeting you, hopefully before my funeral, Ricky.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
I really appreciate you taking my call, all right? Thank you
man.
so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Ricky. That's great. That is the great American story right there. See, he owns 7 businesses. I don't own 7 businesses. Do you own 7 businesses? I don't own 7 businesses. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is available to all of us at long last. It builds on the incredible success of the first two generations, which earned thousands and thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet in no time at all. The new Thunderstorm uses two distinct technologies that studies have proven will help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air that you breathe, at home, at the office. Also removes dust and pet dander and smoke and all kinds of nastiness, including getting rid of any odor, smelly, stinky odors in your home. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, liberal protesters, annoying cousins who are liberal fanatics, musty basements, and more. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, because we hang out together, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You know where to put them. Make the air fresh and clean. Any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. Just go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code Chris3 to save that $200 because we are pals on 3 thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris3. Yes, sir. Great call. Ricky, thank you. A lot of fun talking to you. It is also Mailbag Day here on the Always Humble Chris Plant Show. And I need to get to the mailbag. I have the mailbag questions right here in front of me. Yes, I do. Ricky was a fun call, very interesting call. And I wish I had more time. I could talk to him for quite some time, I'm sure. But he reminded me I've traveled around India for a few weeks at one point and had a great time in India, liked India very much. I've got a friend who I haven't spoken to in years now that I think of it, who had lived in India for years and years. He now lives in Sri Lanka because of the love of a good woman. And he was a law professor, actually a guy from Chicago, grew up in the same area I grew up on the North Shore of Chicago, but he lives in Sri Lanka now. He lived in India for years, and we were talking, and he loves India. He likes the country very much. As do I. But the way he summed up India was that India has combined the worst characteristics of colonialism, British colonialism, the worst characteristics of colonialism, capitalism, and socialism. Rolled them all three into one bundled package. And he loves India, but that's the way he described India. All right, I want to get to the mailbag in just a minute, but right now I'd like to go to the telephones, talk to the nice people, great American people. Ricky Story, a fun story, owns 7 businesses now. Came here from India as a very young man, 1981, 7 businesses. I wish I owned 7 businesses. That's great. All right, let's go back to the telephones. Let's go to Jay calling from New Jersey, where they're having an election next Tuesday and early voting now. Jay Mobile, you are on the Chris Plant Show.
Yeah, hey, Chris.
Hey, Jay.
We've been hearing a lot about how Zoran Mamdani lied about his aunt being on a subway at the time of 9/11.
Uh-huh.
And he said now it was his first cousin once removed. And folks everywhere are saying he's lying, but I think that we can maybe suggest Elanoma-related approach to solve this puzzle, because if Zoran Mamdani's parents are siblings and his grandparents are siblings, then his mother would be both his aunt and his first cousin once removed at the same time. So, I'm just putting this out there. What do you think, Chris?
I enjoy the lane that you're going down here. It's pretty funny because and you use what you said, the Ilhan Omar defense, because if your brother can be your husband, then your first cousin once removed can be your aunt.
Exactly.
Okay.
And, I think I may be onto something, and for some reason nobody's picking up on this, because Ilhan Omar and Zohran Mamdani may just be, in the same boat as having ancestral parents and grandparents. And, I know I could call this radio show and say this because you're not going to shut me up. I tried somewhere else and they were not happy. But I think that Chris Plant can understand the possibility, at least,
hell yeah,
of Zohran Mamdani having a mother being his aunt and his first cousin.
Definitely true. And you're right. The Ilhan Omar comparison is perfect, I think. And Ilhan Omar was just lying on federal forums and cheating the U.S. government to cheat the immigration system in the United States because she's a criminal. And if she hadn't been evacuated from her beep-hole country as a refugee, then there would be black scorpions crawling over her sun-bleached bones in the wind-blown deserts of Ethiopia right now, right?
Exactly. Ilhan Omar, Trump said himself, he saw the president of Somalia at the UN, and he said, hey, I got somebody for you. And he said, no, we don't want to hear about it. We don't want her back. And that just goes to show that even in Somalia, the war-torn, poverty-stricken country, they don't want Ilhan Omar because they know it's not going to get better from there.
And her family, Ilhan Omar's father and uncle, were very much involved with the government there, which was a socialist communist government that was destroying the world for everybody there. And that government was overthrown, and that's when Ilhan Omar's family had to flee the country because they were going to be lynched by the locals who were destroying the communist government that they had just deposed.
Yeah, and now the leaders of Somalia come to America and talk about how Ilhan Omar's interests are Somalia first, not America first.
Right.
And the fact that she has not been, deported or at least expelled from Congress. George Santos gets expelled from Congress for lying, but you have somebody openly proclaiming to be a different country first, and they're allowed to stay. So Ilhan Omar and the rest of her ilk, they're going to continue doing what they do. But if New York elects Zohran Mamdani, it takes things to a whole new level, and that's kind of scary, no?
Yeah, it is. You're in New Jersey. I don't know how close you are to New York and New York City, and whether you're family, friends, whether you go in and out of the city. But I'm convinced he's going to win very handily and become the next mayor of New York.
That's what it looks like, sure. But, the bright side is that in New Jersey, where I live, we have a very close race. And if I encourage all New Jerseyans to please go out and vote, because this is a winnable race. We can take our state back from the demons. And if Mikey Sherrill is an evil monster who voted against the Laken Riley Act to keep illegal murderers in our state, to keep killing American citizens, and people have to understand this is worse than Phil Murphy, and she's going to be worse than anything we had till now because they are emboldened right now. These Abigail Spanberger, Mikey Sherrill, and Zohran Mamdani right now, they're an evil trio, and we have to be careful. So every New Jerseyan must go out and vote. It's imperative to rescue our state from this demonic religion called American communism that Mikey Sherrill and so many of these people represent.
And I gotta tell you, good stuff. You're a great call. I'm gonna confess, Jay, when I went to you on the big board here, I had no idea what you were actually going to talk about, but I'm really happy that we got to talk, and I think it's wonderful. And Zohran Mamdani is true, the Democrat, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day. At what point did we just start calling them the communists or the socialists? And Ricky was talking about that too, a great American immigrant from India, and it's true. The Democrat Party, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says his father and his uncle, both of whom were assassinated, would not recognize. They would find today's Democrat Party unrecognizable. And that's as generous as you can be with this party. And you're right, from Ilhan Omar to, and you guys, the Democrats are running this woman in New Jersey. Does she identify as a woman? I'm not sure. But she, and her name shouldn't be Mikey, but we got that anyway, Cheryl. And she's the one that was not allowed to graduate from the Naval Academy when she attended the Naval Academy, right? Because she was caught up in a cheating scandal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, I wish that Jack Charlie would be a little more disciplined, because he's talking a little bit too much about that, and now he's suing her for defamation. And I hope that he stays on the issues, because what she wants is so evil and so horrible for New Jerseyans that they have to be compelled to vote. And you mentioned RFK Jr.
Uh-huh.
My grandfather worked in the Senate with his father. And he was a Democrat until he had to vote for Al Gore in 2000, and he realized exactly where the Democrat Party is headed. And it's sad, because some people aren't smart enough to discern now between their old Democrat Party and today's Democrat Party, and they are sucked into this evil ideology. And hopefully people are waking up. And you mentioned before, I think people are waking up, because you cannot be blatantly calling for the killing of your political enemies, and people won't notice. People will start to catch on and pick up on it, because what they are doing and what they're calling for is the destruction of America, and they're not trying to hide it anymore. So, folks, this is it. We got to vote in the right people who do not want to destroy America.
You're just great. I'm very happy that you called in. I thank you for that. I can't believe anybody else would not give you a forum to speak. This is America. Last time I looked, but God bless you. You're great. You're a great voter. You're a great American. You're paying attention, and you listen to all the right radio shows too.
Thank you, sir.
That's great, Jay. Thank you very much for the call. I know that your vote will not be miscast. Thanks, Jay. Great talking to you. That was wonderful. Thank you. Now it is Mailbag Day, and I would like to jump and get as many mailbag questions as I can here. Let's do that. Thank you, Jay. Great calls. We have the greatest callers. We have the greatest music in all of radio, certainly talk radio, and really all of radio. We have the greatest music. I wish I could play all the music in addition to. We could just talk while the music's playing. I talked to my bosses about that years ago. They said, no, you can't do that. It's Yeah, but I'd like that. Just like we're at a bar, the music's playing and we just talk. That'd be great. But they won't let me do that. So we got that. All right, let's go to the mailbag. First question from Rock Chick. Rock Chick. I like Rock Chick. Good name. Rock Chick asks, have you ever been to the East Wing of the White House? I have. Yes, I have. And how outraged are you that it's gone? Well, I'm not as easy to outrage as a lot of people, but, architecture has never infuriated me one way or the other. Really, I'm not a fan of brutalism and Soviet communist-style totalitarian architecture like Barack Obama's so-called library. You see they call it the library? They misspell it. Why do they do that? All right, they don't really. But it's the Obama Center. That's the ugliest architecture. That's the only architecture that makes me, it's not even angry. I just scoff and roll my eyes, walk away. But have I ever been to the East Wing? I have been to the East Wing. Generally speaking, the East Wing is typically used as an entrance from East Executive Drive between the White House itself and the Treasury Department building. There's a lane there, East Executive Drive. You may drive in there and get out and enter the White House through the East Wing. I never hung out with first ladies very much, where they had their offices from the Jimmy Carter administration forward, Rosalind Carter forward, first ladies' offices there, but I never did that. It really didn't anger me at all. Now, I got to say, when I saw that they were knocking down the columns at the entrance, and I thought, oh, well, that's it, and then that's going to attach to the new ballroom or the entrance to the ballroom. And then the next day I came back and like, wow, they're really demolishing that. And then I read up on it and discovered that it was really built in the 1940s. Doesn't go back to the 1790s, or it wasn't there when the British burned it like the Democrats tried to do when Trump was president. And the War of 1812, they were invading Washington in 1814. But I have been there. It was, I've got to say, I always thought of it as kind of the entrance. Now, truth is, most of the time I've been to the White House, I'd gone in through the press wing, the West Wing, over on that side, and other times through the front entrance, the North Portico. I've been around the White House a little bit. But the East Wing is the least interesting. I always thought of it as kind of an entrance, an entry point. And this is part of the way you get into the White House. But it was you didn't say, ooh, ah, when you got into the East Wing. maybe your very first time at the White House. Hey, I'm in the White House, for a minute. But then you get in and you see the rooms that are not that big, that don't seat that many people. And I commented as soon as this thing came up that there's really no big ballroom in the White House. Could use a big ballroom. And it turns out the Obama White House was saying that, and Obama officials and Biden officials, and then they naturally lie about it when it comes up as a Trump issue because they're mentally ill. So there's that. But yes, Rock Chick, love the name, Rock Chick. I have been to the East Wing. Not really the part of the White House that you write home about. That's for sure. And I was not outraged, although I was a little surprised that suddenly the whole thing was gone. I was a little surprised. I thought it'd just be the entrance. But truth is, it's going to be much better this way because you don't have to walk through the old part of the White House, the East Wing, to get to the brand new ballroom. I think it's probably better this way. And Trump is a builder, after all, just by the way. Thank you, Rock Chick. Harvey asks, do you think Democrats are upset about the White House renovation because the tents and porta potties remind them of Woodstock without Jimi Hendrix? Ah, the good old days. Gotta love the smell of feces in the morning. That's a little Apocalypse Now reference there, Colonel Kilgore, Robert Duvall, the great Robert Duvall, who lives outside of Washington, D.C. in Virginia. Great Robert Duvall from Apocalypse Now. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. But it's true, porta potties for everybody visiting the White House and the big tents, they were always an embarrassment. I saw them, 100 times. And the tents in the backyard, the big, whatever, wedding tents and the porta potties lined up. It is quite embarrassing. Woodstock without Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was great. The national anthem was a little off, but Woodstock. And the Democrats, when they invite them to White, they smell enough without the porta potties. This will be a great improvement, and everybody's going to love it. And the Democrats will lie about it later, too. They're lying about it now. They'll lie about it later. Thank you, Harvey. Todd asks, this is getting ridiculous. How long can the Democrats hold our government hostage? Well, they haven't broken the record yet, and the news media is still lying. Jake Tapper had 1 minute where he sounded almost like he was in the journalism business. But the poll numbers are starting to turn against him, as Harry Enten at CNN pointed out. So when the poll numbers turn against them, then they'll probably reopen the government. But the Democrats could do it like flipping a light switch. They could do it today, and all the poor people would get their food and their medicine. But the Democrats would rather murder everybody because they're the commies. They're the socialists. See, I'm already adapting. See that? That's good. But, it'll reopen when they're shamed into doing it and not a minute before. Tiggy asks, hey, Chris, how will Zoran the commie react when Hamas inevitably breaks the peace deal and Donald Trump rains holy hell down upon them? I feel like Jews aren't going to be safe in New York City. Well, when Mandami the commie, Zoran the jihadi, when he becomes mayor, which I believe he will be, the idiot Jewish Americans that voted for him should be eternally shamed. I mean, it's like, oh, well, I thought the Nazi Party was going to be good at first. They said they were going to make things better. Honestly, Hamas has already violated the ceasefire, the peace deal, again and again. They're being bombed again today because they attacked and killed more people, because they're filthy, bloodthirsty terrorists from hell, and that's what they do. That's what they do. So they've already repeatedly violated Tiggy, and President Trump is just, given a green light to Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF, who are very, very good at what they do. And the Jews aren't going to be safe in New York City. I don't think they are now because of the Democrats. They've been attacking and firebombing and all that. Thank you, Tiggy. D. Weeby asks, and the question right here, will the hurricane that hits the southeast coast of Jamaica somehow become our responsibility to respond to? Of course it will, because Democrats will exploit it, make it about race. Well, D. Weeby, of course the Democrats will exploit. Remember when President Trump went down, where was it, Puerto Rico, and threw a roll of paper towels to a guy in the back of the room who was saying, throw me that roll of paper towels. And then President Trump threw a perfect spiral, and it hit the guy in the numbers, and he grabbed him and said, thanks. And the news media went crazy.
Then he shows up and he starts lobbing paper towel rolls into the crowd like the Miami Heat cheerleaders do during a basketball game when they're lobbing T-shirts. It has been condescending. It has been inappropriate. It has been very lacking presidential behavior. It has been offensive.
Yeah, of course, the Democrats blame the United States for the weather because they're in charge of the weather and global warming and all that stuff. But yeah, they'll blame, and we'll be stuck. We'll be on the hook for billions and billions in the rest of the world. And the United Nations, no such luck for us. And the Democrats turned everything into race. You know, a Democrat lost his job last week because he went to the Winsome Sears rally and screamed at her, "Go back to Haiti." She's actually from Jamaica, where the hurricane is happening. The Democrat Party is the most racist institution we have in America. The KKK, which is like 4 guys in a shack, are a subset of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party created the KKK, remember? And Jim Crow wasn't a real person, but it was the Democrat Party. Every Jim Crow law, a Democrat Party law. They racialize everything. They're the Democrats. Speaking of the communists, socialists, what's the difference? That are the Democrat Party. The Republican House of Representatives has discovered, and Just the News has the story, Jerry Dunleavy at Just the News has the story today, more than 160 Republicans were investigated by Joe Biden's FBI and his Justice Department under their phony communist Joseph Stalin attack on their political opponents under the umbrella of an operation they called Arctic Frost. The House of Representatives has discovered the GOP-led House Judiciary Committee disclosed on Tuesday, yesterday, more than 160 Republicans, including many closely connected to President Trump, were targeted for investigation during Joe Biden's Justice Department by the FBI under this phony operation. They really are the Communist Party.